Airspace closed over El Paso?
Overnight, the FAA shutting all airspace over El Paso, Texas for the next 10 days for unspecified security reasons, warning any planes violating can be shot down. Closing airspace over a major U.S. city for this reason is very rare and has not happened since after 9/11.
So we're learning that closure was triggered by Mexican cartel drones apparently breaching U.S. airspace.
It appears that the Department of Defense and the Department of Transportation have determined there is not a risk to commercial aircraft, and they're going to allow flights to resume.
The story doesn't add up. So what is the Pentagon hiding? Let's find out. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Good Trouble Show. I'm Matt Ford. Let me walk you through what happened because the sequence of events here is insane. Tuesday night, 11:30 p.m., you're watching TV, hopefully this show, and getting ready for bed or whatever. And the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, issues what's called a NOTAM, a Notice to Airmen. Says the airspace over El Paso, Texas is now closed for 10 days. And not just closed like, hey, maybe avoid this area, closed as in deadly force is authorized against any aircraft that violates this. The government will shoot you down. Not even medevac helicopters can operate. No explanation given, just airspace closed. We'll shoot you if you fly here. Good night. Wednesday morning, the sun comes up and nobody knows what the hell is going on. Fort Bliss, that's the massive Army base right next to El Paso International, their commanders put out a statement. Quote, "We were just as surprised as anyone." The El Paso mayor wasn't told. The local congresswoman, Veronica Escobar, she wasn't told. The White House, the actual White House, also wasn't told. The people who supposedly ordered this found out about it in the same way you did, by seeing it on the news. Then, 7 o'clock Wednesday morning, so about, 8 hours after this whole thing started, the FAA suddenly announces airspace reopened. No threat to commercial aviation. Everything's normal now. Just never mind. False alarm. Nothing to see here. Go about your day. Except it wasn't a false alarm because then the stories start. The White House says cartel drones breached U.S. airspace and we neutralized them. Pentagon sources say it was a coordination problem over laser testing. CBS reports they shot down, get this, a party balloon. So which story is true? I don't know, and here's the thing. I don't think they know either, because they can't keep their story straight for more than 6 hours.
Tonight, sources tell ABC News that the sudden shutdown of the entire airspace over El Paso, Texas, came from a dispute between the FAA and the U.S. military, which was testing laser technology capable of shooting down drones used by Mexican drug cartels.
High-energy lasers, electronic warfare systems, experimental technology the Pentagon usually tests in remote areas far away from civilians. But here's the thing about that story. It explains why the FAA shut down the airspace. It doesn't explain what they were trying to shoot down. According to CBS, at least one of the things they shot down with these experimental lasers was that party balloon, a balloon from a party. They deployed sci-fi laser cannons and neutralized someone's party decorations. None of that happened. Zero photos, zero debris. Mexico hasn't said anything. It's almost like there's nothing to show you. Now, here's the part that should really bother you. This has happened before, like multiple times. And every time they hope you won't connect the dots. 3 months ago, November 2025, this happened in Hudspeth County. That's about 70 miles east of El Paso over Fort Bliss training ranges. Same pattern. Airspace closure, emergency response, lifted quickly. Congressman mentioned it in passing. Zero news coverage, complete memory hole. December 2023, Langley Air Force Base, responsible for protecting Washington, D.C.'s airspace, drones swarm for weeks. Pentagon couldn't stop them, so they had to relocate an entire wing of F-22 fighters to another base. Made the news briefly, then forgotten.
On a rural farm in Colorado, bizarre lights in the night sky. This one blinking here, one of more than a dozen unidentified drones flying in formation for miles. And on the ground, even local law enforcement calling them in.
I had what I believe to be a drone pass over me, and it was headed towards Yuma.
Since a week before Christmas, the drones have been appearing around 7 at night and flying for hours. Sometimes they're seen in groups of 30 and able to fly very quickly, with witnesses saying some of the drones have wingspans estimated to be 6 feet or more.
Former Police Chief Chris Grooms told me they were getting 9 to 12 calls to 911 every single night, just in Valley County, Nebraska alone, for 6 weeks straight. In a sworn statement, Chief Grooms described what law enforcement encountered. A sheriff and 2 deputies chased one of these things at speeds over 120 miles an hour. It stopped and hovered near their patrol trucks. The sheriff estimated this thing was the size of a Suburban. But get this, they couldn't see any kind of structure, just lights. And oh, by the way, these things made no noise. None. Zilch. To top it off, when they shined their searchlights on it, the object said, "Fuck you," and shined a light back at them so bright they had to look away. Created what looked like daylight for 150 to 300 yards around them at night. Then it turned its light off and disappeared. In our interview on the Good Trouble Show, Chief Grooms told me these things were shining bright blue spotlights into ranchers' homes, chasing cattle, harassing livestock night after night. Another deputy chased a different one at 105 miles per hour. Couldn't catch it. January 6, 2020, the federal government sets up a massive task force. 70 people, FBI, FAA, Air Force, DHS, 18 county sheriff's offices. Chief Grooms told me the FBI and DHS were actively investigating. Then, January 22, 2020, task force disbanded. Sightings dramatically dropped off, and suddenly, the FBI and DHS disappeared. Investigation closed. No arrests, no answers, no explanation. So this has been happening for over 5 years. Fort Bliss, Langley, Nebraska, and oh, by the way, over a bunch of NATO bases in Europe and the UK. And the pattern is always the same. Unknown objects over military bases or critical infrastructure. Massive federal response. Then either a convenient cover story or it gets shoved down the memory hole. Now, maybe the Pentagon really was testing lasers on cartel drones. Maybe that's exactly what happened. But if that's true, if this really was just a bureaucratic screw-up over laser testing, then show us the drones, show us the debris, show us the evidence. Because right now, the laser story explains the airspace closure. It doesn't explain why there's no wreckage. This isn't about whether you believe in UFOs or not. This isn't about aliens or conspiracy theories. This isn't about drones from Russia or China. This is about 4 very simple questions. 1, what is flying over our military bases and critical infrastructure? 2, who controls it? 3, why can't we stop it? And 4, why do they keep lying to us about it? Because that's what's actually happening here. Something penetrated restricted airspace over military installations. Our most advanced systems can't identify it or stop it. And instead of telling us the truth, they give us a different story every 6 hours. So, next time you hear Mexican cartel drones breached U.S. airspace and we neutralized the threat, ask yourself, where's the wreckage? Where's the evidence? Where's the fucking party balloon?